So we're going to talk a bit about your books, but sort of as a bridge to that, and um, and one thing I've not seen in the books, and it may be in the books, and I may have forgotten or missed it, but uh, you've had incredibly successful career, um, started a number of businesses, consulted to hundreds of businesses, sat on a number of boards. Um, uh, I, of course, am aware of your situation at home and the support you have from your spouse. And how important is that? And how often does that get overlooked?
Well, it's extremely important, and it's it's interesting how certain. Uh, Let me put it this way: if a person's starting a business, you have to have 100% support from who's ever left at home, whether it's the other spouse or it's some group of people that are helping out, the nannies or whatever, because it's business is consumptive, and it's very hard to serve. Hey, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna spend this much time, and you can't really necessarily you know write it in on your calendar because some days are 12 hours, some days maybe you can sneak out at noon. I would say that with Mary Jo, she was always very, very supportive. We both worked until we worked for the first, both of us worked for the first 5 years of our marriage. And after Jake was born, I was doing a little better. And it was just, the daycare just became too difficult. And so she just stayed at home. But she kept her hand in doing little jobs here and there. She never resented the fact that she wanted to be a full-time mom at that point. She did. She has gone back to work a couple of different times. But it made it very easy. It was never like, you better be home by fill in the blank, or do you really have to work this Saturday? And no, it was never said, not one time. So very, very lucky to have that kind of support. And it probably should have been in every book. So now if she sees this, she'll be asking you why it took you to make this comment. But yeah, I mean, I that was a given, and it's critically important because it's so hard to be worried about that while you're trying to start or run a business.
So you had extraordinary support there. I have extraordinary support with Maggie. But I have more and more friends and more and more employees in my various businesses who don't have that. How do you see that impacting people? How do you see it impacting careers? If you could talk to that couple as a couple,
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
That's a great question because it certainly comes up more and more. And it's everybody's got to be fulfilled. And if if both spouses need to work to fulfill them, that's great. Then I think you got to find a happy medium there. And I think that a little bit what I find is with younger couples, I think that they're bending each. It's like they're playing a game of Twister. They're making it very hard on themselves because of all the schedules, and I old school, but it's like, well, let's talk about who's going to be the primary breadwinner for this family, for our long lives together. And of course, more and more, that's and a lot of the women that work for me, they are the primary breadwinners in their family, and they've worked it out with their husbands or significant others that this is going to be my schedule during tax season, and I'm going to be working every Saturday, and you got to take the kids to the basketball game, and that's how it's going to be. And so I think you got to get all those issues on the table, and I think that that a lot of times people are afraid to have the confrontation because it's like, well, maybe I'll offend them if I say that, your career is probably only going to be 5 more years and mine's going to be 30. So you kind of got to get past that, I think.
Yeah.